Marisha here, continuing my series on free things to see and do in London. And today I'm going to share with you some annual events that take place in spring. The first is the Vaisakhi Festival, which is a Sikh holiday, and it's celebrated every year in Trafalgar Square. On the main stage, they will have different performers, so musicians, dancers. I think they've had people do like spoken word poetry, things like that. And then on the outskirts of the square, there are different booths set up where you can find out information about Sikhism, about Vaisakhi Festival specifically. When I went last year, there was a cooking demonstration and they gave out free food. There was some artists who had their works on display. There's additional food for sale. And so it is a good festival where you can spend like a couple of hours easily just enjoying the free entertainment and wandering around the various booths and getting some information. And I would especially encourage, Americans abroad to do that because I think that unless you are in a large metropolitan area with a sizable Sikh population, most Americans don't really know anything about Sikhism. So it's a good educational experience for you. The next thing is actually technically two things, but they are very similar and they happen around the same time in around the same area, and that is Chelsea in Bloom and Belgravia in Bloom. Now, these are both celebrations of flowers. Um, Chelsea is a little bit more famous because it happens at the same time as the Chelsea Flower Show. Now, the Chelsea Flower Show is not free, you have to buy a ticket to that. But at the same time, they have Chelsea in Bloom, and that is there's an area of Chelsea where all of the shops, or most of the shops, have decorated their doorways with floral displays. And then additionally, there are some public artworks that are floral displays. So last year, for example, in one of the like parks next to the tube station, they had a giant floral arrangement that was made to look like the very hungry caterpillar. And I mean, it was huge. Like, I mean, you could walk underneath it. So some of these structures are really large, impressive, essentially art pieces that are made out of flowers and other plant materials. And even just the smaller the smaller ones that are decorating businesses doors are just really beautiful. And so it's a lovely time to wander around in the spring and see some gorgeous floral displays in Chelsea. Similar to that, it's basically the same thing in the neighboring borough or village. Actually, it's not even a borough, neighborhood of Belgravia. Does the same thing around the same time. Technically, if you wanted, you could do both Chelsea and Belgravia in the same day. It would make for a really long day, but it's doable. I would recommend trying to split it up and do one on one day and one on another day, because it can also get kind of crowded at times as well. But Belgravia in Bloom, I kind of like that even better because it's lesser known, so it's not as crowded. And Belgravia has some really cute shops that participate in this. I feel like it's just kind of like a nicer, cozier atmosphere. In Chelsea, the main road is a main road, and so there's like traffic and stuff. It's still pretty, but if you had to pick between one or the other because you don't have time for both, I would actually recommend the Belgravia in Bloom. Now, the next thing is the Canal Cavalcade, which takes place in Little Venice, which is in kind of North London. It's pretty close to Central, but like northern Central London. And it's along the canal, of course. Now, even when the Canal Cavalcade is not on, just walking along the canal is a really nice time. It's a pretty walk. So if you're not here for the Canal Cavalcade, go visit the canal anyway. It's pretty. But the Canal Cavalcade is basically a convergence of canal boats. And so you can walk along and see all of these canal boats docked along the canal and just see the way that they've been painted and otherwise decorated. And it's just kind of fun. And then I think they have some races throughout the day where they have rides that you can take. So you can pay to go on a canal ride on a boat. I think when I was there, they also had a docked canal boat that was featuring puppet shows at some point for kids. So there's a lot kind of going on. It's not just, oh, I looked at some boats. They also have some good food stands and, like I said, boat rides and other forms of entertainment as well. And then the last thing is a Punch and Judy festival. Now, this takes place in Covent Garden at the Actors Church, which is also like St. Paul's Church, not to be confused with St. Paul's Cathedral. So, right in the center of Covent Garden, there's a church that's known as the Actors Church because it's frequented by actors and has been for decades or centuries or whatever. And every year they have a Punch and Judy festival. And I haven't been able to go yet to the church service that is actually has Punch delivering the sermon. I'm hoping to do that this year. But afterwards, there's a parade, and then in their gardens, the church's gardens, they'll have a ton of different Punch and Judy booths set up, and they're on different timers. So, you'll have maybe five or six around here and five or six around here on this side, and only one at a time is doing a show. But once they're done, another one is going. So there's always a couple of shows going on, so you can watch a Punch and Judy show. Now, as an American, I had never seen a real Punch and Judy show. I'd only ever seen it in like Charade, the movie, or something like that. I was kind of familiar with the basic concept, but I was really excited to see an actual live Punch and Judy show. And it is very fascinating to see how ingrained it is in British culture because I'm standing there and there's all these kids sitting on the ground and they're completely enwrapped with this show and they're interacting with the puppets. And even the adults, their parents who are standing kind of at the back are saying the lines that they're supposed to say because it's just like it's so much a part of like they grew up doing this. So it was really fascinating to see, and there were also some booths that were selling things. So if you wanted, I think you could actually buy your own Punch and Judy puppets if you felt like you needed to spring for that. Or there were some other things on sale and some like food available, and so it was really just kind of a rollicking good time and just really fascinating, I think. Like, subscribe, tell your friends how gnarly this channel is, and I'll see you next time.